So at this point, let me call the meeting to order. I need to say the pledge of allegiance. Join me in the pledge of allegiance. We'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag,
the United States
States of America,
and to the republic for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. Okay. And first on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of April 16th, 2020 and April 21st, 2020. Could I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second from Brian.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next on the agenda is the to accept the claims and financial reports of April 2020. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion, George.
Second?
Yep.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor?
Yep. Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, on to information items. We've got a lot to celebrate tonight. Yes, Mr. Petretti, are you there? Okay. Mr. Petretti, are you there?
I don't see him signed on.
Hmm. we okay, well, celebrate that in a little while.
Jerry Doherty, you're on the meeting?
Are you looking for me?
Yes. Can you just connect with Sean and see if he can log in?
Wait, I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Can you connect with Sean and see if he could log in?
Yes. I'll call him.
Thank you. So, okay, so we'll move past the first, the valedictorian, salutatorian recognition, and then Dr. Devine, are you on? Okay.
Kathy should be on. I see her.
Yes, can you hear me? I'm on.
Oh, now we can.
Could you do teacher tenure recognition?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
My recommendation for teacher tenure from Cutchogue East Elementary is Brian Bowie. Just like a little bit of background on Brian, even though I know you've seen him at many Board of Ed meetings. Brian began his service at Mattituck-Cutchogue as a .6 band and music teacher in 2015. He was then appointed as a probationary music teacher in 2016 with a tenure date of September 1st, 2020. Brian has always striven to be part of the Cutchogue East community, whether it be utilizing his skills as a music teacher or otherwise. It would be unusual for there to be a Cutchogue East event that Brian did not play an integral role. Most notably, Brian is the music director, choreographer, and technology director for our annual musical at Cutchogue East for the past 4 years. Those musicals included Lion King Jr., Little Mermaid, Seussical Jr., and Frozen Jr. Brian is one of the advisors of student leadership, and those duties include, among many, coordinating Board of Ed presentations, morning announcements, parent-teacher conferences, Relay for Life, Unity Day, Spirit Week, and creation of building-wide bulletin boards. Brian also coordinates our cafeteria sing-along before the Christmas break. He's a member of the Character Education Committee, serves as our outdoor DJ, and accompanies students as a chaperone on numerous field trips. In addition, Brian takes pride in playing an active role in music organizations on Long Island and New York State, including the Suffolk County Music Educators Association, Hampton's Music Educators Association, and New York State School Music Association. Recently, Cutchogue East was named a 2020 Suffolk County Music Educators Association Elementary School of Excellence. Mr. Bowie's work contributed to this award. As part of the Cutchogue East Distance Learning Plan since March, Mr. Bowie teamed with his music colleagues and created the Cutchogue East Couch Concert Series. This is a platform where students, staff, community members, and more can share their music making from home. Videos can be shared via Instagram or Twitter, and this was also recognized by the New York State School Boards Association. I know that I can rely upon Brian at any time to utilize his many skills for activities before, during, and after school. He's a valuable asset to Cutchogue East and is held in high esteem by his colleagues. Based upon all of the above, I recommend Brian Bowie for tenure effective September 1st, 2020.
That is very, very impressive, the amount of contribution that he has made to our school community. Very impressive. So congratulations. We're thrilled. Welcome.
You did a good job, Kathy.
He's done a great job.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, is Sean on now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, could you do the recommendation for Bridget?
Absolutely, happily.
Yeah, thank you.
It's without hesitation that I recommend Bridget Finero for tenure as band director with the Mattituck-Cutchogue Union Free School District. Ms. Finero received her bachelor's degree from the prestigious Crane School of Music for Education and Business at SUNY Potsdam. After completing her student teaching at Port Jeff Middle School, she was hired to teach junior high band for 1 year in her home district of Smithtown. Directly following her employment with the Smithtown School District, she was hired by Mattituck as our junior high band director. While employed at Mattituck, Ms. Finero obtained her master's degree at St. Joseph's College and received an additional certification in special education. Since joining the Mattituck team, she's been a stabilizing factor in our music department and has been a key player in the transformation of our music program. Over the past 4 years, Ms. Finero has played an integral role in creating new traditions in our school. Some of these traditions include the NISMA Club, the Pep Band Club, Cutchogue East Music in Our School Month concert, the Junior High Caroling, Holiday Caroling in MHS, the Skamia Elementary School of Excellence, and has gotten many of her students involved in the new Hamptons Music Educators Association Music Festival. As Dr. Devine was just talking about, Brian, it's really, there's been a renaissance in our music department due to the efforts of both of these teachers coming on board. Mrs. Finero's biggest strengths as a teacher are her ability to develop effective relationships with her students and colleagues, her classroom management, and her very high level of instruction. All of this can be witnessed at any of our school's concerts or in feedback from students or parents. So it is without hesitation that I recommend Bridget, and can't say enough about the team of music educators that we've put together at the Mattituck-Cutchogue School District. They really are a team in and of themselves, the way they all work together and what they produce.
Wonderful. We're thrilled to have them on as tenure teachers. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Now,
Thank you.
Sean, could you go back and do the valedictorian and salutatorian recognition?
I'm better prepared to do that in June right now.
Okay, so we'll skip over that for now. Absolutely.
Yeah, if we could, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Now, retirement recognition.
Mhm.
Again, Mr. Bertretti and
Yep.
Dr. Devine.
So, Nurse Linda Diorio, she's affectionately known as Nurse Linda, is going to be retiring this year. Nurse Linda really kind of burst onto the scene at MHS when she was hired in September of 2010. She came to us with a tremendous life and nursing experience, creating a really unique and warm atmosphere in our health office. Having the perfect combination of tough love and compassion, she has been a passionate advocate for students, parents, and teachers alike. Her amazing energy permeated beyond the health office, as Nurse Linda was always a participant in almost all of our field trips, and she's followed students to Washington, D.C. every year. She goes to Disney. She follows the 7th graders to Camp Quinnipiac on Shelter Island, and she does all these trips annually. She has a passion for theater, and Nurse Linda has volunteered countless hours to creating costumes for our school productions. And again, she volunteered to do that. She's one of a kind, and she's going to be greatly missed. Her retirement is sure to bring her many new adventures, and we wish her the best, but we will truly miss her and everything that she brings to our school community. She was a key player. Mattituck Junior Senior High School.
I wish we can't really clap, but wow.
I'll clap for it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
We're really gonna miss her. She's just, I can't say enough great things about what she's brought to our building.
Yeah.
She's
Sean,
going to be missed.
Sean, I hope the next school nurse can be in the school plays. She really was something, and fiddling the roof and all the school, helping the kids with the school plays. So hopefully whoever's next, they can step up and be in the plays.
Every different person brings different talents to our community, you know. So, there's definitely going to be a void, though. I don't know who's going to do costumes for us going forward, but we'll figure it out.
Just a really nice person. She will be missed.
100%.
Okay. Here's the.
Okay, I'm going to be doing Mary Karen Kraus.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mary Baldwin is one of the treasures of Cutchogue East. She has spent the bulk of her teaching career educating the hearts and minds of young children. She brought her expertise as a preschool teacher to the Mattituck-Cutchogue School District and has applied her immeasurable understanding of childhood development to teaching and nurturing kindergartners. Mary was hired in 1988 as a third grade teacher. She joined us from the New Suffolk School District and began teaching kindergarten the following year in a small portable building at Cutchogue West while the extension to East was being completed. She has continued as a kindergarten teacher until her retirement. Mary has been a tireless advocate of developmentally appropriate curriculum and for the importance of play in kindergarten. She has also served as a mentor for new teachers and a lead teacher for her grade level, sharing her knowledge with her colleagues. I know I speak for everyone at Cutchogue East that there will be a sense of emptiness in the kindergarten hallway, as we truly will miss Mary. I know it's a hard time for Mary not being able to get back to the building with her children, but it's time to give Mary back to her wonderful family. She should enjoy this well-deserved time with those she cherishes.
Wonderful. I remember working with Mary, and I absolutely agree with everything you've said. A wonderful, wonderful woman, and she has given quite her heart and soul to our district. So we appreciate her service.
Mary comes from a family of strong educators. Her aunt taught me nursery school, Mrs. Didell. I'll never forget her.
Wow.
And every time I came to Cutchogue East, Mary always gave me a hug and reminded me of those years ago. And those are formative years. And many people in Mattituck can say Mrs. Didell and Mrs. Baldwin helped them in their formative years. So I'm glad I got a chance to know her.
She's a wonderful, wonderful teacher. We're going to miss her tremendously. I will now do Karen Kraus, who is a teacher assistant at Cutchogue East. Karen Kraus was hired as a teacher's assistant in 2002. So for the past 20 years, she has served in a variety of roles at various grade levels at Cutchogue East. Most recently, Karen was a shared teacher's assistant for fourth grade students. It was during this time that Karen worked with small groups of children during reading and writing workshops while choosing and implementing strategies to meet their individual needs. Karen has always worked effectively with the teachers as a team with a shared understanding of their roles in achieving their objectives. Karen also looked for opportunities to allow students to attempt tasks independently and to experience success. Karen also served as a teacher's assistant in the library and was always there to help a child pick out the perfect book. It was rewarding to see a child holding on to a book that he or she could not wait to read because of the time Karen spent with that child. Karen is also assigned to the front lobby at every arrival and dismissal day, welcoming the children at the beginning of the day and saying goodbye at the end. She has a friendly rapport with the children, and her words and smile are important to each one of them. Karen is a kind and trusted colleague who will be missed at Cutchogue East.
Again, I worked with her as well, and I agree with everything you said, and she will be missed. She will be missed.
So I'm going to
Wait, do we have one more?
Yep.
Or
speak
you-
about
okay.
Maureen Berry.
Okay.
Maureen Berry was hired on October 25th in 1996 as a physical education teacher. During her tenure, she has been involved in many new physical education initiatives. She brought the art of Tai Bo to the students in 2004 and 2005. Maureen introduced students to ballroom dancing through the Arthur Murray Dance Studio for several years. She developed lasting relationships with students and invited former students back to teach and enjoy Zumba. Maureen was very innovative and loved exposing students to unique activities, including archery, golf, and even snow sledding, which was a fan favorite. In addition to the fun units she brought to the gymnasium and physical education curriculum, Maureen spearheaded a yearly presentation focused on cancer awareness to the students. She was responsible for bringing in advocates and volunteers for the Moore Foundation to teach healthy lifestyle choices, early detection, and risk reduction in regards to breast health. After school hours, Maureen could be found at the scorer table during soccer, basketball, and lacrosse season. She loved to support the athletes from the sideline with her positive and upbeat personality. Maureen is another staff member that will truly be missed. She's worked at both the high school and at the elementary level. And we're just going to wish Maureen, Mary, Karen, and Linda all the best in their retirement.
Thank you. Thank you. On to superintendent's report.
So I have a few items to review tonight. I just want to speak a little bit about our remote distance learning plan. It's still really going strong. A special shout out to the teachers and parents. You are wonderful you are a wonderful co-teaching model. Again, I want to emphasize that if there is anything that our families need support with, to please let us know. Our teachers have been very diligent reaching out to students and parents. However, there might be an occasion where we might be missing something. So I want to emphasize that we are still here for you and that a phone call or an email will be answered immediately. I also want to acknowledge that Governor Cuomo most recently put out another executive order which allows for districts to adhere to their contracts, their previously agreed upon contracts, and to make adjustments to the school calendars. If you recall, we could not host the spring break, and we had to continue with distance learning, childcare plans, and food service. With that said, the most recent executive order allows boards of education to modify their school calendar to meet their contractual obligations. So as a result, on the agenda this evening for the board to approve is an amendment where I am recommending that we modify the originally approved school calendar to end school on Monday, June 22nd would be our last day of school, rather than Friday, June 26th. This would meet all those contractual obligations and still provide students with the learning they need pretty much up until the end of the school year. If you recall, we had 6 vacation days originally scheduled at our spring recess. We were not able to take advantage of that. So we are going to shorten the calendar by 4 days at this point in time. The next thing I just want to go over is, again, I want to thank the community for their contributions to the food pantry. That food pantry is a buzz every single day, and it would not be made possible without the generous donations of community members. At this point in time, I think we have had people that gave their name and dropped off something and told us that they were contributing is probably over 75 right now. With that said, there are other people that have left food on the back step, and we walk outside and there's, some packages out there. Again, this food pantry is pretty much solely run by Rafael Moraes, our community liaison. He does all of the shopping, picking up of boxes, reaching out to the different organizations who also support us. But I just really want to thank the community on behalf of the Board of Education, because It has been a tremendous effort and a tremendous service to people who really require it. We will do a formal thank you to all of the people who have contributed. If there's a name that we leave off in the June agenda, again, we want to thank you. And, you know, hopefully when we can come back, we actually can do a celebration where everybody can be together, because you have no idea the impact that you've made on these families. I know, Kathy, you were crying, and you saw what goes out every week. You know, people really need this. You're providing healthier options to families. You give more generous donations that allows us to provide healthier food. And so it's really, again, due to this wonderful community. I also want to send a shout out to our administrative team. Kat, thanks. You started getting very choked
No,
up.
really.
But
Choke up. That was just speaking over the microphone. Joanne's probably laughing at me now.
But really, these individuals, you know, we have a small team,
Yeah.
but a mighty team. But these individuals have been working behind the scenes and publicly to ensure that all components of our distance learning plan, the food service and childcare services have been delivered to students and families. But I don't think that the community could have any idea how much work has gone into this. And the weekend visits to families' homes for a child who might not have checked in each week, to making late night phone calls, to having Zoom meetings with senior parents to ensure that we're providing the most awesome celebrations for our seniors. Just Mr. Smith helping me with getting my messages out and just the connection with kids. And I don't think somebody can prove me wrong, but I don't believe there's another district whose administrative team has gone so far above and beyond than this team. When I say people, I know the teachers and staff have worked well beyond their hours to meet the needs of kids, but so has the administrative team. And they're kind of the glue that keeps everybody together, whether it's responding to teachers late at night or kids or parents. But it's just been really tremendous. And I just want to say thank you to the administrators. I think sometimes you're forgotten in this mix, but not forgotten by the board and myself. And I know the parents certainly have showed their appreciation, but I know no one has any idea how much work really has gone into this.
You know, I'd like to second your opinion there, and I've also heard some excellent stories about our teaching staff, how much they have worked and their dedication and really have stepped up to the plate. So I think all our administrators and teachers, or the whole staff, have done an excellent job, and thank you all.
I think you speak for everybody on the board. And I feel like, you know, kids don't always listen to what you say, but they watch what you do. And the demonstration and the role models that you have been for our children are life lessons that they will take with them and be the better for it for the rest of their lives. So thank you seems so small, but we do appreciate you from the bottom of our heart for the demonstration in our community, and you're holding it together. I feel like you're also holding parents steady as you care for their children, so parents feel comforted as well. So yes, thank you from all of
Well
us.
said, Barbara.
I know, I hope at least, I hear the Suffolk Times has reached out to talk a little bit about the instructional plan. One of the things that, you know, I really emphasized in speaking with the reporter is that our plan for instruction is so purposeful, and the fact that teachers are reaching out to students on a regular basis. You know, when you look at the high school plan where you have a schedule that students need to follow, that's pretty unique. Not everyone is following a schedule like that, but it means students are engaged. It means they're held accountable, and that there is that teacher-child connection that is so valued. And, you know, Governor Cuomo has spoken about reimagining education, and there's nothing to reimagine. Students need their teachers. They need their administrators. And here in Mattituck, that means being face to face with kids, giving them the encouragement they need to keep going, make mistakes, and say it's okay. So, I think there'll be more to come on what reimagined education looks like. But in Mattituck, I don't think we need to reimagine it here. I do want to say that I do expect that there'll be some guidance coming out as to what schools will look like in September. And we don't know in terms of, what kind of regulations or things need to be in place. We expect that there'll be some social distancing, reconfiguring classroom settings, visitors to the building, protocols for cleaning, and we are working on those plans right now, but we don't have anything definitive at this point in time, but we are working on it. I do want to alert parents whose children attend summer school that we have not received any guidance as to whether we can run a summer school in person or it needs to continue with a distance learning plan. However, we are working on both scenarios, but we just haven't been able to report out anything at this point in time.
Jill, one question. The yearbook, I haven't heard any comments about that. Will there be one this year?
There absolutely will be a yearbook. In fact, when we had our senior drive-by picnic the other day, we had some of the students out there videotaping for the video yearbook. Wow. I know Mr. Petretti is sending a letter out to parents and students. He's spoken to the kids pretty much, but he's sending out a letter to parents, really talking about some of the year-end activities that we are going to still continue with, despite, in some other fashion, but we're going to try to keep all traditions in place. Yearbook will still continue. Not sure how we'll do the signing, but we'll figure it out. But it will happen.
That's exciting.
Doug, the one difference with the yearbooks this year is that we are having them mailed directly to the students' homes.
Oh.
So that's how we're handling that. But yeah, the yearbook signing thing, we'll figure that out. Again, we're looking for guidance from the governor, and when we get the ability to bring these kids together, we're going to do it. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Petretti has done a really nice job in honoring students really wanting that senior experience, and even coming in to do lockers cleanouts. He was able to take students on a last tour of the building and that last classroom and practicing that social distancing and taking kids in very small groups. So Sean, I can't thank you enough. You've been a stellar principal through this for these kids. And I think that I know they very much appreciate the time that you spent with them. And we have just started. So some of the senior celebrations.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Jill, I hear, and this is Brian, I hear in the community, everybody's very thankful for the morning announcement. So I just want to thank Mr. Petretti for that announcement. And it's that starts my day. That starts my personal day. I stand up and do the pledge. And it's nice when there's a guest speaker. And I also heard good thoughts from my neighbors about the drive-up barbecue. So I just thank Mr. Petretti and everybody. Like you said, it's a great administrative team. Dr. Devine, Alana, Meredith, everybody. Greg, I am just thankful to be part of a highly functioning team under duress, under strange times, but we're still doing what's necessary. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so I can't reveal some of the, kind of fun, exciting things because we're trying to, we still have several weeks to go here, folks, like 5 weeks of schooling.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. So we're going to try to spread out some of these fun things. And that includes Cutchogue East. Dr. Devine has met with her PTAs and teachers, and she has some fun activities planned. And as well to try to honor Mary Baldwin and Karen Krause a little bit in some end of the year celebrations. But I would like to wish our retirees much happiness in their retirement and thank you for your contributions to the Mattituck-Cutchogue School District. Over the years,
Just at Cutchogue East, we're also planning a celebration for our sixth graders because we will not be able to have the physical sixth grade moving up. So we're in the process of planning that. So parents have been told to save the date. So you'll be hearing great news about a lot of the celebrations too at Cutchogue East.
Good, good.
And we also have morning announcement every morning.
Kathy's still doing her birthday. Sean's doing their
I'm
birthdays.
doing my pledge. I'm doing everything. We're doing everything.
So good.
She's out there. But over the years, we have worked with Mary Baldwin, Maureen Berry, Linda Diora, Karen Kraft, and also in some capacity. But it has been an honor and pleasure to get to know all of you, both professionally and personally. We hold you all in high esteem. Indeed, you are not only caring individuals, but the professional educators in every sense of the word. I know the staff and students are going to miss all of you, but you have left behind fine programs, as spoken about this evening, to benefit students and staff for years to come. So I, again, just want to thank our retirees and wish them all the best to spend some time with family and friends. And I think that's it for me. So I will be sending out a letter tomorrow to families, letting them know once the board approves the calendar. We'll tie in a little bit about the budget vote and the candidates and just the process a little bit in my message. Postcards are going out, have gone out to the public. We'll still be doing the same type of notices with regard to the budget vote and the election of trustees. The budget newsletter, we're hoping gets to families by next Friday, perhaps, if not sooner. So that will be going out to the printer within, I would say, either tomorrow or Monday, and then we hope to get that in homes. Post offices are a little backed up with these budget votes because lots of documents and there's certain practices that we need to follow. But again, I believe that newsletter will be very helpful. And all of the budget information is up on the website, but the newsletter does provide a lot of details for those people who don't have the technology. And again, if anybody needs any copies of anything, they can certainly come to Cutchogue West to the district clerk, and we will be happy to provide anything for someone who couldn't access it.
Jill, this is Jen. I have two questions.
Jen?
Yes,
Okay.
I have two questions. The ballots are due through the mail. They need to be received by June 9th, right?
Jennifer, yes, the ballots need to be received in to 385 Depot Lane in Cutchogue by 5 p.m. So somebody can either put it in the mail or they can drop it off. However, we will have somebody at the post office at the end of close of business at the post office on June 9th to collect any of those ballots that have been mailed back. But any ballot that's returned after 5 p.m., like say we get some in the mail the next day, they will not be counted.
Thank you. And then just regarding summer school, is there any opportunity to open up the summer school to more students that may have fallen behind during this time?
So the summer school I was referring to in my previous message, Jen, had to do with the special education extended years summer school program. But we hope, but I cannot ensure it, if we can meet in person, we will be offering the elementary summer school program that we talked about in previous months in the first 2 weeks of August. I don't know if that will run, Jen, if it's remote. I'm not sure that that's the most effective delivery for that type of program for primary students. However, we will be identifying students who are in need of that program through teacher recommendations and obviously marks and assessments and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to Board of Ed committee reports, audit and finance. Jeff, are you there? Jeff on?
Jeff, unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
All right, so the Audit and Finance Committee met last week via WebEx. We discussed the current year budget. Expenses have been lower than forecast with all the students at home. And the big item that we've been talking about are the transportation contracts. It's a fairly big cost each month, and we're not using nearly as much busing as we have in the past and as contracted. So we're reviewing those obligations with council and also the vendors to see what we owe on that, what our actual obligation is. Now, we discussed purchase orders and the internal procedures with the goal of reducing and hopefully eliminating confirming purchase orders that have been an issue with the auditors in the past and just not best practices. So the business office is going to implement new procedures this month, I believe. And then we talked about the budget vote, which was already discussed, but the information is on the website and the ballots should be in the mail. And lastly, we just talked about state aid, expecting cuts next year could be up to $600,000. We're fortunate that state aid is not a huge part of our budget, but we're just looking at the moving pieces and how we would absorb the impact from that if it were to be that high. It's not guaranteed and nothing's set in stone yet, but based on what the governor said, it might be in that range. And also just looked at some maintenance projects that we may be able to move up this year while all the students are at home that are budgeted for next year. But we'll probably have more discussion on that next month. And I'll turn it back to you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Building Safety and Grounds. Doug?
No, thank you, Barbara. We went over some of the projects that Jeff just mentioned. Cutchogue East parking lot needs to be sealed. The tennis court at Mattituck, we're going to have to do some repairs on. This, mostly on the tennis court, it's a yearly repair that we go through, and it's reasonable. Basketball courts at Laurel need to be repaired. And some water fountains. There's a bunch of things that are going to be done before the end of the year and then during the summer. In addition, Frank, are you on?
Frank, are you there?
Okay. Well, it's just that the air conditioning and the door projects are in the works. Should be starting soon. That's basically it.
Okay. Next is Culture and Diversity. Brian?
Thank you, Barbara. Just a personal note about the election. I'm just glad to be in the running. It's been my great joy over the past 4 years to be part of the board and to do the business of what the people need and what the students need. As Jill mentioned, I'm grateful to the administrative team for what they do. I don't have any worries about the needs of the kids because of the administrative team. And I just want to thank you, Barbara, for your leadership as the president. And I want to thank Doug for being a good role model. I've learned so much being on Buildings and Grounds. That's one of my favorite committees. I think I even enjoy it more than the committee that I chair because of Doug. I'll never forget Doug walked without aid on the roof of the high school. And I have never seen anybody do that. And I hopefully never see anybody else do that. And he wasn't scared at all. I was like, Doug, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I just want to say it's been my honor. I hope it continues, God willing, if the people decide. And I want to say good luck to Mary Lynn Hogue and good luck to Pat Arslanian.
Okay.
Brian, it's a pleasure working with you. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
All right, thank you very much. Curriculum, Technology, Health. Jennifer?
Yes, Barbara, thank you. We met this morning and we discussed the progress of remote instruction. At the secondary level, students continue to follow a daily schedule using Google Classroom and the Chromebooks. They also had 2 weeks of project-based instruction. At grades 3 through 6, they're also using Google Classroom and the Chromebooks. And grades kindergarten through 6, the students continue to receive their instructional packets every Monday through the bus route. Grades 2 also received Chromebooks, and they're using them to supplement their instruction. At the primary level, teachers are using various methods to reach the students through virtual classes, pre-recorded videos, and phone calls. Teachers are continuing with professional development for the literacy initiative. There has been a big coordination amongst the teachers to work together to continue to move forward with the curriculum and instruction. And a big effort has been made to make sure all students have access to the remote instruction. Support has been given to those students who need it, and continuing that strong communication between the school and home. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is negotiations and personnel. And we had met, I think I had mentioned this before, we met one time with the administrative team regarding contract negotiations. Their contract is up in June. But I've since been contacted by them saying, can we just push everything off until January, when hopefully we have a better sense of what's happening? And I feel like that really is wisdom. So we're going to just put a hold on the negotiations and keep the contract the way it is until January, when we can take a look at it. For policy and legislative outreach, we haven't met, but moving forward, we know that we're going to need to probably get some new policy regarding the kind of situation that we're in as a school. We have to, our policy has to be according to New York State law and according to our present practice. So I feel like in the future, we'll have some guidance from our attorneys as to what policies we put in place to just ensure going forward that things hold steady. So that will come in the future. Okay, next is new business. So I'd like a motion.
Barbara,
I'm sorry.
Barbara, as the board members realize, lots of times I like to add something that
Okay,
I forgot to mention.
all right.
We met today on the computer. What would you call that? The video link of some sort?
A Zoom meeting.
A Zoom meeting with the head of the Midtown facilities. And they are in the process of putting a major solar collector project in place, which is mostly finished now. And it was very interesting talking to them. So that's where we are, and we're trying to find some more information in the future. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks for remembering that. Now, again, new business donation items. I just want to say thank you for these donation items, and thank you for the generosity of this community. And, an anonymous donation, I just can't say enough about the character and quality of people that we are here with. So we said this before, but we enjoy working with this community. So thank you for these donations.
Yes. Thank you.
And now I just need a motion for the approval of donation items A through C.
George makes a motion.
Oh, E, I'm sorry, E. Go ahead, George.
I make motion.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, take one of those. George and Doug second it. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And then all in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, on to personnel items A through M.
And
N. All right, my name. Yes, I'm sorry. Give me one second. Okay. Can I have a motion and a second for that?
So moved, Brian.
Okay.
Second, Jen.
Discussion? All in favor?
yep.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next on the agenda is a motion for the approval of resolution items A through U.
George makes a motion.
May I have a second? Wait, who made that motion?
George.
George? Okay. Is there a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if there's no discussion, the motion's carried.
John, that was going.
He's going to do it next time.
Okay.
Next time. Yeah. Okay. Are we to the end? Okay. I guess if it's,
I have a question since we're at the end.
okay,
I know that I think in one of the announcements of the board meeting, there was also a notation of an email address, and if anyone had any questions or comments they would want to make, since the public cannot attend the board meetings, to please email that to us. Have we received any?
No, the board hasn't received any. I received a question from a community member with regard to 2 items on the agenda, and I responded to the community member with the answer.
Okay, thank you.
But Doug, George, I actually appreciate you bringing that up because May 27th is our budget hearing meeting. And we have asked that the community ask the board any questions in advance of that meeting so that they could be brought up and answered. You know, even though they might not be able to answer the question at that point in time, we can have the question read for them and answered for them at that meeting. So if there is anyone that has any questions, please forward them to any one of the board members at boe@mufsd.com or to myself, Jay Girosh at MUFSD.com. All of this information is on the website, and I will ensure that all the board members receive those questions and they are brought up at that budget hearing. Prior to that, though, the community will be receiving that newsletter with the background information, and they probably will even get their ballots before that meeting as well. So they don't, like, the ballots can go out because the board approved the budgets already. As well, the budget newsletter is not a requirement, but is something that we provide to the public for informational purposes. And I really want to say that the budget newsletter not only highlights the financial status of the district, but it also highlights the academic achievements and exceptional program that we offer students, and that's why we're here. We might want to mention that besides the budget vote and the Board of Ed trustees, there are 2 other propositions on the ballot this year. One of them is to create a repair reserve of up to $650,000, for which, if there are needed repairs throughout the year, that the Board of Education can access those resources. That repair reserve fund is different from our capital reserve fund, whereas the community needs to just approve the fund and set aside. The board will determine each year how much funding goes into that. So it's not necessarily that we'll put $650,000 into it, but we could put up to $650,000 into that fund. And as Doug speaks about, the Buildings and Grounds Committee and then ultimately the Board of Education would make any recommendations for any well-needed repairs throughout the year or the next year. It doesn't have to be used in that year. It could be used over time. So that's a new fund. That's really a very important fund to be able to create, especially with the constraints of how you spend your money throughout the year. The other fund was established in May of 2018, which is the Capital Reserve Fund. And each year, the board can put any excess fund balance of up to $750,000 into that Capital Reserve Fund. The Repair Reserve Fund, the community needs to vote on the projects identified by the board in that Capital Reserve Fund. And this year, the board is asking the community to approve a new roof at Cutchogue East. Now, I want to be clear, when we say a new roof at Cutchogue East, there are many roofs at Cutchogue East. So it's one section, or it is considered a roof, but it's a new roof at Cutchogue East in one section. We are also asking for a new boiler at Cutchogue West. And the creation, or I don't want to say creation because it's really a modification of a classroom at the high school to create a multi-purpose room. So that room could be used for our home and careers classes. It can be used for project-based learning opportunities for students. It can be used for, like, some of our business classes can have meetings there because there's like the legal space, as well as the community. So one of the advantages of creating this multi-purpose room, the location of the room, and then where the community could access that either for adult education programs or our PTAs and booster clubs. So I really think something like that will really be a benefit, not only to students, but also our community at large. So those are 3 items in that capital reserve fund that we are asking for voter approval. So just in closing, there are 3 propositions: the budget vote, approval to expend certain items out of the capital reserve fund, and to create a repair reserve for emergency or well-needed repair.
Jill,
Yes.
the difference between the repair fund and the capital fund is generally, I mean, the capital fund are for, those projects are generally much larger in scope. The repair are for smaller items that come up throughout the year. Is that the case?
That's a good way of looking at it, yes.
Yeah, typically, like the repair reserve as well, George, would not need SED approval necessarily. You know, we kind of look at them as emergency repairs or something that perhaps couldn't wait or isn't as a large scale. I'm not saying that it never would need SED approval, but oftentimes it's a smaller incident. You know, many districts create this repair reserve. For example, if you had a flood or a pipe that burst, and you know you had to bring in a repair company to really get that classroom up and running and do that over a weekend. We would not need to wait to ask the community to say expend a couple $100,000 to fix that. For example, Carl Place had a situation in their community that actually caused a pipe to burst, but it was coming up through the floor, a water pipe to burst, and it caused tremendous millions of dollars of damage. So, you really have to figure out where you are getting your funding from in an emergency situation like this. This provides the Board of Education some flexibility to be able to address some of those kind of needs. And it could be a smaller need as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. Important information to have. So thank you. Is there anything else before we adjourn? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second. I second it. All right. Thank you for coming, everybody.